Okay, Montgomery Ward Christmas Catalog 1983. I think this will be fun. I hadn't thought of going through anything like this until I saw a YouTube channel doing this, so I want to give a shout out to a channel called Patrick's Attic, who has done a couple of these, and he does a really good job. All right, so for those that don't know, let's set a little context. Montgomery Ward was kind of the poor man's Sears. So yeah, slightly lower budget Sears is the best way I can describe Montgomery Ward's. And again, for those that don't know, these Christmas catalogs will be a way to see what you wanted to get that year. A lot of times you'd walk in the store and they'd have these stacked up by the entrances. You'd grab one, you'd take it home. I think you can even order directly out of these, and or you could just, circle what you want and then go to the store. But if you lived in a rural area, these might be more important. And also, you may get these mailed to you. So I think if you had ordered something the previous year, you would get on their mailing list and they would mail these things. So you can imagine your postman or postwoman lugging these things around from house to house. But let's get into it. I think this is going to be fun. 1983 was the year of, the only thing I remember about it specifically was Christmas 83 was when everybody went crazy for Cabbage Patch Kids. And I don't know if they had them early enough that they would be in this catalog or not. Looks like they are. So other than that, let's just see what was going on in 1983. Yeah, this should have all kinds of different stuff in it. It looks like maybe they're putting all the kids' stuff up front, so that's pretty interesting. Check out this Smurf house. I vaguely remember this, the little Smurf figurine things, but that airplane's pretty cool. And then every kid in the 80s and 70s had these crazy pajamas and crazy bathrobes and whatever character. It could have been G.I. Joe, could have been Star Wars, could have been who knows what. Yeah, so it looks like Montgomery Ward is leading out with the Smurfs. Got a Smurfs guitar, for goodness sake. Anybody remember these record players when you were kids? Basically like a little suitcase, it would pop open, it would play records. I think it would play full-size and 45s. So it was essentially a working record player. It had a pretty cheap speaker though. Much like the pajamas, you could always get your watch with pretty much any character you wanted in the 80s. That Gargamel's pretty cool. Like these are video games because it says ColecoVision. Let's check number J. Yeah. Video game cartridge. Looks like you got a Rescue Smurfette. So if you had an Atari, you could shell out 31 bucks for a Smurf game. Portable radio. That's not a Walkman. That's just a radio with headphones. All right, lots of Smurfs content here in 83. Transformers was not out yet. He-Man was not out yet, I don't think. He-Man might have been out. We'll see. Smurfs toothbrush. Man. I remember Smurfs being really big in like 82, but I guess in 83 they still would have been pretty big. Smurfs big wheel. Garfield. Various versions of Garfield for some reason. think the guy who created Garfield, Jim Davis, he basically said it was just for merchandising. Like, he didn't even care about the craft of the cartooning. He just said flat out, like, it's all about the merchandising. But I guess he's laughing all the way to the bank. Looks like Mom can put on some Garfield panties. Yeah, it looks like they're trying to market it to grown-ups. It's kind of weird, but hey, it is what it is. Here we go. Now we're back in '83. Strawberry Shortcake was definitely huge right around that time. And this playhouse is pretty cool. Let's see how much this thing is. Whoa, 139 bucks. But it must come with some figures and stuff, because that's a lot just for the playhouse. It looks like it comes with all kinds of cool furniture and stuff too. Yeah, I can't tell if it comes with any little Strawberry Shortcake people. And I don't know the lore, so I don't know who number T is. And it looks like a villain. Old Meanie Sour Grapes and Dregs. Yeah, it looks like maybe all the toys and stuff will be up front. But there'll be a lot more stuff in this catalog that'll take us back to the '83. Strawberry Shortcake Kitchen. Did anybody dress like this in '83? Like I said, I think I had some Star Wars pajamas or something, so I can't talk. You can get a whole bed kit. That's a pretty wild looking thing there. Berry Merry Worm. Like I said, you get to watch just about any of your favorite character back in the 70s and 80s. Here we go. Alright, we're going to have to linger on this page a little bit. You got your, so Return of the Jedi would just came out that summer. You got your PJs. You got your belt. But check out these toys. You got the Ewok Village. You still got the Millennium Falcon. You got your AT-AT. And yes, it is pronounced AT-AT. Looks like these would be a pack of figures all together, which I never got when I was a kid. We would get them individually. But let's check some of these prices. So the Ewok Village, brand new in '83, 17 bucks. You could even get $1.50 off. So you could get it for basically 16 bucks. That seems pretty cheap. I mean, that's not bad for a big old play set. Let's see how much the AT-AT was. Yeah, the AT-AT's 49. Of course, AT-AT has lights and sounds and all kinds of stuff. But yeah, 50 bucks for an AT-AT. Millennium Falcon is 34. But you could get like $3 off. And yeah, these action figures, these will be all the new Return of the Jedi ones. Got your Scout Trooper. You got Luke with his Jedi garb. You got Leia disguised as Bosch or whatever the name was. You got Yoda. But yeah, it looks like H. Let's see how much these figure packs are. Yes, you get all these for 19 bucks. You could get 8 figures, a little more than $2 a figure, it looks like. So yeah, we would buy them individually. We wouldn't get 8 figures all at once. We didn't have it like that. Check out these video games. Revenge of the Jedi. Check it out. They must have printed these up with Revenge of the Jedi on it. If you know the lore, you know. If you don't, Google it. Of course, you can get watches and bed sheets and stuff. We had the bed sheets from either the first movie or the second movie, like maybe Empire Strikes Back. You'd be really cool if you wore one of these t-shirts to school, though. What are they doing there? That's a pretty cool Vader. Stuff's probably worth a fortune now. Back then you could get that Vader sleeping bag for 19 bucks. Jabba the Hutt Play-Doh. Now that sounds fun. I was way too old to play with Play-Doh at that point, but that sounds pretty fun. Care Bears, here we go. Care Bears Play-Doh. As you can see, Care Bears was probably for a little bit younger kids, but great that they had all these different things for different ages back then. And now we're still just recycling the same stuff from the 80s. Let's see how much these little Care Bears would be. 29 bucks? Wait a minute. Okay, it was like 6 or 7 bucks a piece for these things. It's pretty steep because you get a Star Wars figure for like 2 bucks. Yeah, this is, I think, what would be what kids would want. These little stuffed animals, and/or a lampshade. Here we go. Yeah, this is definitely a snapshot. Cubert. I feel like Cubert came out a year or two before this, but yeah, it looks like he was still big. You can see he's kind of a cute character, so you can see why they went all in with the merchandising here. I think we might have had the Atari game. For those that don't know, the arcade version would always be super cool, and then the port to like Atari would be kind of cheesy and cheap, but still fun and challenging, but nothing like the arcade quality. What is this? Herself the Elf. Any Herself the Elf fans out there? I'll be honest, I lived through this era and I never heard of this, but maybe because I was just a year or two too old. Looks pretty cool though, actually. Oh boy, here we go. I gotta crack my knuckles real quick. This was all me. This was me and my brother right here in 82, 83. This was everything, man. I think I might even have gotten this train set in like 84, 85. But yeah, we got the Sky Striker, we got the Dragonfly. I know these names off the top of my head. We got the Hiss, we got the Mobat, we got the Vamp. So me and my brother, we had literally every one of these. Eventually, not all for Christmas or something, but you know, through the years, the G.I. Joe base. This is so cool. So this looks like all the first year or two of G.I. Joe. Let's see how much some of this stuff was. So that's that Tomcat jet was 18 bucks. This base was 35. Wow, that's pretty steep, but we had it. My dad got us all this stuff. There's CoverGirl and her Wolverine. Wasn't that what it's called? Yep, 9 bucks. See, that's not bad. You get a vehicle and an action figure for 9 bucks. Come on, folks. And let's see if they're selling any of the individual figures here. It's kind of hard to tell without reading through this. Yeah. Okay, so they're doing, again, similar to what Star Wars was doing. They're selling several figures. So you can get Destro, Major Blood, Cobra Commander for 9 bucks. Or you could get Doc, Gung Ho, and one other dude for 9 bucks. That's pretty cool. We'd always get them individually. But that's a trip right there. And all this other crap. We wanted the toys, man. We don't want some goofy walkie-talkie or whatever, or some headphones. You want the toys, you want the vehicles. If your parents got you this junk, you should custom out. Here we go. This catalog won't reflect how crazy this sensation for these things were. They came out in 83, right in time for Christmas. I think they knew what they were doing. And people were lining up at the stores. And this was kind of the first and really only huge Christmas time, everybody going crazy for these things. because the only other one that was similar was Tickle Me Elmo, but that was just one doll, whereas this was like, you know, any one of these you could get your hands on, and your kid could brag and say, I got one, and, you know, their classmates didn't get one. So here's the Cabbage Patch Kids. It looks like they were pretty steep. Looks like they were 20 bucks each. But yeah, there was nothing to them. It was just a doll with some clothes. So there's no extra features or anything. But for whatever reason, the marketing or whatever it was, 83, these were probably impossible to get. So maybe you could try to order them through the catalog, or maybe you could try to go down and find out when they were coming out at the store. But I remember them just being impossible to get in 83. All right, here's part 2. I have to linger on this too because this was the other thing in 83. He-Man was basically brand new at this time, or Masters of the Universe, whatever you want to call it. Again, the ephemera is fun, but you wanted the toys. You wanted Castle Grayskull. You wanted this. I had this thing. Let's see what it was called. Point Dread. My brother had Grayskull. I had Point Dread. Mine cost 15. His cost 30. And yeah, all the figures at this time. You had Skeletor, He-Man. What's that dude? Lockjaw. Is that his name? Trapjaw. Yeah, and these Panthers and stuff. I don't think we ever got the Panther or the Battle Cat, but we definitely had these vehicles and stuff. And again, they expanded, so if we looked at an 84 catalog or something, it'd be like a million more figures, but this was kind of the early days of He-Man. Yeah, oh, okay, this is pretty cool. You could get 2 of these. So you could get He-Man and Triclops for $9. You can get them both. That's a trip. Shirt Tails. Yeah, this is another one that I vaguely remember. Again, we were probably a little too old for these. I guess they were these little fellas, the Shirt Tails. Digger and Roger and Rick. And again, you can see the theme here. They got the sleeping bags and the pajamas and the goofy stuff, and then the actual things. And hopefully your parents knew to get you the actual things and not like these little miniatures or something. Although that's pretty cool. Pammy wishes you a Merry Christmas. Maybe Panda, maybe Pammy the Panda was the main shirt tail. Or Bogey the orangutan. There's some more shirt tails, tchotchkes. Again, that little record player thing. This would play any record, so you know, it didn't matter what theme you had. Yeah, this looks fun for kids. As you can see, something for all kinds of kids. So if you weren't into Smurfs, maybe you were into Rainbow Bright or whatever. All right, this looks like some Montgomery Ward exclusive stuff, so this is pretty cool. A Lionel train set. Let's see how much this number C is. Wow. Yeah, so I guess Lionel trains have always been expensive because number C is $400, and that's $1983. Number D is only $21 though. Limited edition Montgomery Ward. That's probably worth a fortune now. These are pretty cool. Looks like whoever had this catalog wanted these for some reason. I bet their kid wanted G.I. Joes and they ended up with this truck instead. Teddy, oh, I was going to say Teddy Ruxpin, but that's not Teddy Ruxpin. These little horses were kind of cool if you were a kid in the 80s or 70s, but the problem was your G.I. Joes wouldn't fit on them because their legs wouldn't do right. So you had to have some kind of figure that would actually ride these horses. Early days of electronics. Looks like you get a chess set that maybe played, you could play the computer or something. Check out this Knight Rider Cutoff Challenge. Electric slot racing set, this Knight Rider thing. All it has is the box. That's pretty cool though. Okay, here's a snapshot of the times. Prince Charles and Lady Di. I'm guessing these would be worth a pretty penny now if they were in good condition. You got Marilyn Monroe. So at the time you can get Prince Charles and Lady Di for $25 a piece. Thumbelina, Betsy Wetsy, and Tiny Tears. That's pretty cool, a thing for the baby doll. Yeah, the guy whose video I saw, he was perplexed why they always had the little fake ivory soap bar. But I think it's, you know, you could pretend you're washing your doll. And I guess ivory soap got sponsored. See, there it is again. Rub-a-dub doggy. So what's you all's take on bathroom toys? Is it just a way to get your kid to sit still so they can actually get clean? Because otherwise they wouldn't stay in the bath more than like 30 seconds. So these look like just some generic dolls, but that's pretty cool with the barber shop thing, or the beauty shop thing. These are pretty cool. What is this? Glamour gals, but what are these guys? Oh, they're the great dates. So I guess these are the gals and these are just the dates. They're dates. They don't even have names. 4 handsome guys. That's pretty cool though. Look like sort of maybe G.I. Joe size Barbie type things. And that cruise ship looks pretty awesome. You could have your G.I. Joe, you know, down here, your Cobra's up here, and you could have them fighting it out. Or you could have glamour girls and their dudes, the great date dudes. And again, it looks like you get all these for like $9, so that's not bad. 4 figures for $9. That's cheaper than the Star Wars. And they're made by Kenner, so the quality is probably pretty good. These lesser known things are probably way more valuable than like a Star Wars figure, just because they're so rare. Some baby doll stuff. Look at this doll furniture. It's not too pricey though. Bunk bed for your doll. All right, here we go. Barbie and Ken. Pretty sure. Yeah, these are the Barbie sets. How cool is this? Pool. Ken looks like he can't bend his legs, so he's just kind of kicked back watching Barbie over there on her floaty. All those little dishware things are pretty cool. They got the Pepsis, the 2 liters. That's great. Okay, so these are the wardrobes. So you're not getting all those dolls, but you're getting all those outfits. Yeah. So your parents and or your kids would have to be in the know enough to know that if you send in for number J, you're not getting $4, you're just getting those outfits. The kids would probably have to tell the parents that, because the parents would probably be thinking they're getting all those dolls. They do look kind of like Mr. Spock. Okay, here's some more stuff. Yeah, you gotta admit, Barbie had some cool stuff, man. She had a Corvette that actually was like RC car or something. She had her 70s style van. She's kicking it at McDonald's. She got pretty dressed up to go to McDonald's, but hey, respect to that. Respect to anybody getting dressed up, because nobody does that anymore. That's a pretty stripped down little chapel there. Teaching your girls to go shopping at an early age, become consumers. Yeah, this Barbie's townhouse is not as impressive as like the mansions. It looks kind of like a cardboard cutout, pretty much. Why am I critiquing these things? I mean, you gotta have some context, right? Hello Kitty. Hello Kitty, I think that came from Japan, so who knows when it originally came out in Japan, and obviously it's been around forever in America, but I'll bet it was out in Japan long before it made its way over here. Little cash register, that's pretty cool. Teach your kid how to type. Oh, wow, you got some early, wow, you really could teach your kid how to type over here. Let's check out this vacuum. Get your kid to clean up. I wonder if it actually works. Let's see if we can see. Really works. All right, this is great. So you get your kid to do house chores, man. Go vacuum the den. I got you this great new toy. Go use it. Yeah, this is wild. Teaching the girls how to be domestic. Notice there's no boys pictured. Yeah, this isn't a bad idea right here. If you didn't take typing class, if you were poor or whatever, you could probably teach yourself how to type. This one even talks. I guess maybe it tells you what words to type or something. I've never seen anything like that. Not for specifically for kids. And here's got some fake money. You can do adding, teach them how to be a cashier. All right, and you guys know Mickey Mouse, Snoopy, these things are timeless. So of course, 83, doesn't matter what year it is, you can have some stuff like this. What is this here? Oh, it's a comb. It kind of looks like a bottle of whiskey or something, but it's like a brush or something. It would be funny if they were giving your kid, well, maybe I shouldn't say that. Here we go. This kind of stuff is still around and still popular. Lots of kids like to goof around and pretend they're cooking, and it's pretty cool. It gives them an active, tactile motor skills, so it's not just about reinforcing. I know a lot of boys who like to do this stuff, and it gives them some, activities rather than just sitting on a couch staring at their iPad. Check this out. What is this? Is this that little people thing or something? Or is it just generic? Let's see if we can see G. Okay, yeah, it just says family. But yeah, that dollhouse. Again, for me, you put your G.I. Joes in there, you have them fight it out, you have them knock over the couch. Definitely remember these all through the 70s and 80s. You can make your little Snoopy snow cones. So that was like a perennial thing right there. They might have upgraded it every few years or whatever. I never did any of this easy bake stuff where it's actually got real stuff that you eat. Sounds bizarre, but I guess it, everybody had one, I guess. And here's some children's furniture from Montgomery Wards. Looks like you can even get the kid's name on there. Let's see how much this Montgomery Ward's toy box was. This furniture is probably way more durable than any of the crap they make now. Any of the like fiber wood trash they make now. Let's see how much this little toy box was. 40 bucks. Yeah, it's pretty pricey, but I bet it's durable. Coat hanger. I need one of those for my house. Where do you get coat hangers anymore? Some more children's furniture. Okay, I mean, these kids are living large, man. They got their own little couches and stuff. Most of us just had to sit on whatever adult furniture was in the room, am I right? I definitely remember these. Some kids had these little creative things at home. Again, with the tactile stuff, this is a good way to get your kid moving, and maybe they're interested in music slightly. So even though this is, just toy stuff, it might get them on the road to becoming something creative instead of just sitting behind a desk and being a drone when they grow up. Check it out, E.T. Viewmaster. How great is that? I definitely had some Viewmasters. I don't think I had the Smurfs, but I had some. I don't recall which ones now. Yeah, Viewmasters were cool. Kind of took you out of your own headspace and into a different world. That's a lot of Viewmasters in there though, because you can see they're just these little thin strips. Let's see what it says. Number E. 60, oh, 9 reels. Okay. Here we go. These were popular back in the day. You pop in the tape and then read along in your book. I think it had cues of when to flip the page and stuff. So again, a little more interactive than just having something read directly to you. Got a Wonder Woman one over here. Let's see what this says. K. 2 for $15. Solid Gold. That was a TV show back then. Looks like maybe they sponsored this little toy. Check out the Pac-Man drum set. Who's this? John Schneider. That's pretty cool. And again, these aren't Walkmans. They kind of look like them, but they don't. The Walkman didn't come out maybe till another year or so. Or maybe we'll see it in the adult section. That's crazy though. What if this little jukebox, like you play along with it or something? Jukebox drum set. Alvin and the Chipmunks, looks like they talk or something. That's pretty cool. Of course, we got Sesame Street. We got the Muppets. How cool are those? Looks like a lot of these make noise. Never buy a kid something that makes noise. They should want to drive their parents crazy. So this is stuff for real young little kids, little babies. Little things for the crib. Seems like parents don't do that anymore. They just let the kids sit in there and like whine and stuff instead of giving them something to do. I don't know. That's interesting because that logo looks exactly like the Lego space logo. I guess it's slightly different. Don't see any Legos in this catalog. I was kind of hoping to see some. We got our little CNC things, which are always great. The farmer one was classic. Looks like they got one for numbers and letters. Little gas pump, Fisher Price, $13.83. Yeah, I think they had done away with the Weeble Wobbles at this point, so I think this is about as close as you could get. Look at that. It's got a little gun and everything. That'd be fun though. Another typewriter, that's funny. Or a pretend camera. Okay, here's like a Duplo looking thing, or it's some kind of knockoff called Lock Blocks. Yeah, and it could be that some things are not available on Montgomery Wards because they're only available at like Sears and or Toys R Us or whatever. Okay, here's some Lego, so I'm definitely going to linger on this. I did not realize the Yellow Castle was still around in '83. That is, for any Lego fan, that is considered one of the greatest sets of all time by many Lego fans. One of them, not the, but yeah, the Yellow Castle. My grandma got us that, so big props to any grandma who would buy their grandkids Legos. I mean, how cool is that? So it looks like in '83 it was $50 for that Yellow Castle. It might have been a little cheaper when my grandma got it. And yeah, my brother and I definitely had these. He always got the fire stations. I always got the police stations. So we definitely had those. And then these space sets were so great too. But we were pretty much out of Legos at this time and into like G.I. Joe and He-Man. So we didn't have any of these space ones. And then people, these are kind of the precursor to the what's now called Technic. A little more complicated builds. I think back then they just called them expert builders. Let's see how much the police station was. 25 bucks. So yeah, it's a little pricey. It's like, I think that was the same price as Castle Grayskull. But yeah, Legos are the way to go. I guess some people like erector sets. Never had one. Could play with Legos all day long. Let's see how much this one is. I think this one is very, very expensive now. This is H Galaxy Commander. 42 bucks and 83 is still pretty pricey. Light Alive. Got a fire truck Play-Doh. I bet that was fun. And some more arts and crafts type stuff. Again, it's good to expose your child to all this stuff because they might have an interest in something that you don't even know about until you expose them to all these different things. They might be into music. They might have a, drawing or painting aptitude that you're not even aware of. Some more of these sets, but these are Lionel too. So yeah, you can see 150, 170. Lionel's always been like a premium thing, but they are high quality. I think they're like kind of the gold standard to this day. But you'd have to have some money, or your dad or somebody would have to be a train freak and just buy it for your kid, just as an excuse. Who remembers the Light Bright theme song from the commercial? If you don't, come on. Were you alive back then? You have to remember it. If you weren't alive back then, obviously you're not. Yeah, these were the more like the racing sets. So we were never into trains, but occasionally, like I said, I think one year I got one of these type things. It was the G.I. Joe one. And they last for a while, and then they kind of wear out. The little connectors get worn down or something. Look at these things. Got a G.I. Joe one. What's the B? Strawberry Rider. Looks like it's like trying to take advantage of the strawberry cheesecake. Was that her name? Strawberry Shortcake. But it's just called Strawberry Rider. That's pretty wild. I think I remember that. Still got the Smokey and the Bandit car, even though it's 83. General Lee. Now, if they probably could have upgraded that to the Knight Rider and really sold a lot of them. Another G.I. Joe. And then most people had one of these when they were a kid in the 70s and 80s. Definitely pictures of me on one of those back in the day. General Lee again. You can see Dukes of Hazzard was big. Seems like the A-Team would have been big. Here's Knight Rider. Let's see how much this Knight Rider thing is. 25 bucks. Some more standard bikes. BMX started to become really big in the 80s. Check out that G.I. Joe bike. You'd have been so cool if you had that. Take the training wheels off and go show it off. And in a week, everybody be on to something else. Oh my gosh, kids getting buff. That's pretty crazy. Yeah, they definitely packed all the kids stuff right at the front of this catalog. So here's the RC cars. Not a lot of sponsored ones yet, but that Corvette's pretty cool. Guess you have to live near a river or a lake or something to use these. Otherwise, your parents would be like, why do we get you that? Check this out. You get some Barbie little plants. It's pretty wild. Joy Barbie greenhouse. Pre-potted planters and seed packets. Wood shop, that's pretty extravagant there with all those different little things in it. And here go probably like the middle school teenage toys, like some microscopes and telescopes and stuff. What would you do with this if you were a kid or a teenager? You'd have to be really into science, I guess. This one's even got a fake frog that you can pretend to dissect. I hope that's fake. Hatch shrimp eggs. Wow, maybe those are real. I don't know. $12 for a frog and a grasshopper you can cut up. Here we go, check these out. So an early karaoke machine. She's crushing it. She's confident. CBs, I never had any of that kind of stuff when I was a kid. Is this a cap gun, or these are probably cap guns? They're probably not BB guns, but I think we will see some BB guns. Let's see if it says. Let's look for F here. Yeah, the ring caps. Those are fun though, because they would smoke and they would make noise. It'd be pretty cool if you had that pistol right there. Or that machine gun. I can't imagine. Battery operated. Oh, okay, that just makes an electronic sound. But these were like cap guns. Look, this one's even got the Lone Ranger mask. That would have been awesome to have as a kid. Only 14 bucks. Official Lone Ranger. Look at this weird stuff. Dungeons and Dragons. I vaguely remember that. Interesting. Those play sets are pretty cool. And you just throw a random farm down here, which is pretty neat. Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Fortress of Fangs for 26 bucks. Looks like it comes with all those figures though, so that's not bad. Because like Castle Grayskull would not come with any figures at all, I don't think. Oh, these are the Playmobiles. Those were pretty cool when I was a kid. Those were intriguing. And check out this Indiana Jones. How great is this? Bet this is worth a pretty penny now. G and H. Let's see what it says. Raiders of the Lost action figures. So you get Indy, Karen Allen, and the dude with the turban for $8, or you could get this Jeep for 14. It looks like Desert Convoy truck. Bet those are worth a fortune just because they're so, rare. They probably weren't mass produced like G.I. Joe. Okay, this is probably Anime Invasion, but not Transformers. Probably like Voltron type stuff. That's pretty cool. That little garage. That'd be awesome if you were a Matchbox fan. Let's see what this is. This thing does transform, but these aren't Transformers. That is a Transformer in 83. All right, let's read up on these. G. Diacon Multi-Force Robot. So Diacron, like I said, probably an anime show. Oh, this... Okay, so I don't know the lore, but I think some of these were in Japan and they were called Diacron, and then they finally started calling them Transformers, because that's definitely a Transformer. But right now they're calling them Diacrons. And then this car doesn't ring a bell. This never became a Transformer. And they had a similar car to this, but it wasn't this car. But that van became a Transformer. Those of you that might know, there's a whole lore of how they started. Some of these started out like over in Japan or over in Europe, and then they officially became Transformers, because that van was definitely identical to the Transformers. But like I said, I don't think Transformers came out here until like early '84. So right now they're calling this Diacron. Check out this logging truck. That's pretty cool. And this looks like Colt Seavers. Let's see what it says. Yeah, the Fall Guy pickup. That's pretty cool. And what's this guy? Is he just a Wrangler? Okay. Tonka. We never had Tonka. Maybe we had one when we were really young. I think they were a little more expensive, but they were super durable. So they were worth it. Space Shuttle was huge back then. Smokey and the Bandit, check it out. It's got the Bandit, Smokey, and the truck. Kind of weird scale, like chubby looking though. As you can see, some of these games are classic and they're still around. Pac-Mania was in effect. Some of these little games were pretty fun. I remember we had a football one that was pretty fun. And this looks like an early Mario game, Nintendo Mario's Cement Factory. You all should Google that. I'll bet there's YouTube videos of that. Yeah, here's Care Bears and Strawberry Shortcake again. Oh, these like the Shrinky Dinks or something? Let's try to read what, yeah, small cooks, yeah. You like put these in the oven. It's kind of a weird concept, but it was fine. We did Shrinky Dinks when I was a kid. Speak and Spell. I think everybody knew somebody that had this. Like we never had one, but we definitely had friends or whatever that had them. This is the early attempts, it looks like, of letting some computer teach your kids instead of teaching them yourself. But again, these would have been more interactive and not just a kid pressing a screen mindlessly. What is this? They trying to compete with Atari or something? This looks pretty dumb. Because that screen probably is pretty small compared to your TV screen. $100 for that kit. It has one joystick maybe. Use some more like electronic type games over here. That bowling would be fun if you were stuck indoors. Some classic games here. Uno Wild Tiles. I don't know what that is. Because Uno is a fun game. I wonder how that works. Look at these. These are timeless games right here. Still great to this day. I don't know about Arcade Mania. Sure, you could Google any of these on eBay or something and find like Arcade Mania or Uno Wild Tiles or whatever. Check out this Monopoly. It's like the bonus set. Dark Tower. Bargain Hunter. Okay, here's some more games. Something called Perfection. These were huge. Probably right around this time when they really started to take off. Kroll's got his own board game. Of course, Knight Rider and Pac-Man have theirs. Or E.T., sorry, and Pac-Man. Cootie. Who remembers Cootie? I think they don't even make that anymore. They got rid of everything, man. Cootie was great. Trivial Pursuit is out. Okay. Definitely remember being out in 84, but it looks like in 83. That was a sensation. So it wasn't crazy like Cabbage Patch Kids, but everybody had Trivial Pursuit at some point. And it's a pretty good game. Rummy Cube. It's a fun game for your card players out there. These automatic shufflers never work, I'm here to tell you. Your cards have to be perfect, brand new. As soon as you've used them a couple times, these shufflers don't work anymore. It gets all jammed. Yeah, these little mini games were pretty crappy. They still are. I mean, I think they still make little games like this, and they're not that great. Simon's a great game, though. Look how weird that is. if you're buying stuff like this and putting it on your wall, you might need to have your head examined. That's just a public service announcement from myself, from yours truly. These are kind of fun in my opinion because it shows you which are the more popular teams, because obviously these aren't all the NFL teams. So obviously you got Steelers, probably got the Cowboys, Bengals. So you can see what teams were popular in '83, because you probably get them for, looks like you get them from any team you wanted in your little mail-in form or whatever. A nut vending machine. Who wants one of those? Just order number H from page 156 and you can get a nut vending machine delivered to your house. NFL wood burning set. Anybody remember wood burning? For some reason that was a thing. A lot of people had these lamps like this in the 80s, like kids or teenagers. Joe Theismann. So yeah, I don't know if this catalog is from a particular area, and maybe that's why they featured Joe, or maybe they had just won the Super Bowl, but that's pretty funny. And not much has changed in terms of like, it had to be officially licensed. You'd have your knockoff stuff, but this is all officially licensed like NFL stuff. It's like these things like have actual foot grab things in them, so they're not just socks. Yeah, I'm not gonna linger too long on this NFL stuff. Yeah, me and my brother had like a knockoff jacket, so we didn't have the official, but it looked like the official. But that's how some of us had to do it in the 70s and 80s, man. This is very 80s right here, these jackets. Arctic Sun zip-offs. Those are those weird jackets where you could take the sleeves off. That's a strange concept in my opinion. Like if it's that hot out, wouldn't you just take the whole coat off? Alright, so this looks like children's fashion, and then we'll probably get into like adult fashion stuff, but there'll be some more fun 80s stuff in here. Might try to skip past some of this a little more quickly though. Corduroys. Why don't they make corduroys anymore? Honest question. Somebody please tell me. I would love to have some corduroys, because all you got now are jeans or khakis. What's wrong with something in between, especially when it's cold out? As I say, we start a petition to bring cords back. And don't tell me, well, you can get them from this one website. I'm talking about walk in the store, get some cords, man. Check out Superman. It's a pretty off-model drawing there. I'm a comic book guy, so I'm a little more picky about that. For some reason, we all had robes. I don't know why. Do people still do that? Get your robes? Do you walk around the house in it? Just put some clothes on, man. I guess everybody now has the stupid pajama bottoms and they go out in public with them, so I guess robes were better. Check out that kid. If your parents are dressing you like that, you're probably going to need a shrink when you get to be like 25 years old if your parents are dressing you like that. Just being honest here. Now, there's nothing wrong with this because this is functional. You know, it's cold out, you got to dress like this. But you're dressing your kid like that, you're making him comb his hair and stuff. Every kid in the 80s wore these shirts. It's great. They work. They were warm. Yeah, we all had pajamas for some reason. I don't know if the girls wore this kind of stuff. I just remember everybody wearing this kind of stuff. Kermit going skiing. I guess Winter Olympics will be right around the corner in the end of '83 here. Crazy Critters. I don't know what that is. Could be a Montgomery Ward's thing. I'm not sure how all that works. These color coordinated things. Seems like nobody color coordinates anymore also. Not that that's great or bad, but it's just, it was kind of cool to color coordinate back in the day. the 80s with the leotards and the, whatever you call these things, the leg warmers or whatever. It's definitely an 80s snapshot. Get your name on your shirt. In case you forget your name at school, you could look down on your shirt. Yeah, that looks very like early 80s, like urban cowboy right there. So great. Sweatpants. Little 90s with Snoopy on it. It's kind of cute with the Snoopy and Woodstock. All right, you're buying your jewelry at Montgomery Ward's. I mean, it is what it is, man. Some of us can't go to the expensive jewelry stores, so we got to go to Monkey Ward's and buy one of these things and hope the wife likes it, or the girlfriend, or whatever. And you see, they're still pretty pricey, so they're not terrible quality. They're just, you know, buying jewelry at like JCPenney or something. You know, it's not the top of the top line. Birthstones were a big deal back then. I don't hear people even mention birthstones anymore. Yeah, if it was 130 and now it's 57, then it was never worth 130. You know what I mean? If it was 190 and now it's 80, it's probably worth 80 to begin with. But hey, that's how they get us, right? These were kind of popular, more in the 70s, these little sayings on your necklace. But hey, it's fun, right? Fancy watches, but this is more what we'd be playing with in the 80s. You know, the electronics, your calculator watches, that kind of stuff. But your wife may not appreciate that. She may want something a little more posh. She may not be happy with the calculator watch on Christmas morning. These were a thing. Are these still a thing? Anybody? Kind of cool to have it, but like, who's going to carry this around? Unless you're like a weird old man. But yeah, these little pocket watches, they used to call them. Yeah, this is more 80s style here. And people would wear these because they were new. You know, the electronic, you know, be like, oh, I don't have an old watch with the hands on. I got a electronic. Yeah, there's the calculator watch right there. Let's see how much this one is. This one looks pretty fancy. $50. Yeah, most of us couldn't afford that. Look at this. It's like a jogging. That's pretty cool considering everybody has that now to count their steps. And they had something similar to it back in '83. And you can get it for $26. I do remember when Transformers became big, they even made a Transformers watch. A watch that would like, the arms would come out. It was a weird time, but it was a great time. I guess these are like coaches' whistles. Some kind of karaoke watch. Oh, this actually catches radio stations. That's pretty crazy concept. Everybody had the Dr. Zeus, Kathy, these are great. Miss Pac-Man, Frogger, E.T. Pretty cool. Of course, Mickey Mouse. Little jewelry cases. You may ever use these. All right, get your Polo cologne for your man. Get your Vanderbilt for the women, I guess. I was a Chaps guy. Do they have Chaps in here? Who else was a Chaps guy? Show of hands in the audience. Makeup kits from Monkey Ward's, Montgomery Ward's, that is. Yeah, there's Chaps. Hello, everybody. We're doing Chaps in 7th, 8th grade. We're wearing way too much Chaps. Teacher probably hates our guts because everybody in class is wearing their own little perfumes and stuff at that age, at least in my school. I was a Chaps guy. It actually smelled pretty good too. Polo was weird smelling. Smelled like soap or something. See, I called it out for you and saw it, so you know I'm authentic. Anybody have a mom that did that? That'd be kind of traumatizing. Walk in and see mom looking like a space creature. The Lady Remington, hello. I wish we still had suitcases like this. Everything's like this crap now. Wish they'd bring those back. I'd buy 2 or 3 of those, man. Tell you, it serves the same purpose. I don't, you know. It is what it is. Though you get sneaky and put some money in your, this is probably for like your drunk people. You know, you go to the bar, you don't want to drop your wallet, so you got this little thing. But then you probably forget where it is because you've been drinking. You're like, I don't know where my money is. The whole time it was right in your glove. How much are these? $6? Yeah, that's not bad, man. Stash your money in there. Definitely a snapshot of the 80s right there. Check that out for your checkbook. You got your calculator built in. That's super cool. Checkretary, they called it. That is cool. I mean, people probably don't know what checks are anymore, but if you're from the 80s, you would think that was pretty neat. All right, mom's got her PJs on. Check those out, like Where's Waldo or something. Girl kind of looks like Cheryl Ladd. All right, let's go back. Let's go back to 1983. You're a guy. You're gonna splurge for your wife. You say, okay, wife, you've been good this year. You've been cooking. You've been cleaning. You've been doing the laundry. I'm gonna get you a Hooray for Huddles nightshirt, and I'm gonna splurge. You can get any team you want on it. Merry Christmas. How about it? You think she'll be happy with that? Let me know in the comments. Check her out. She looks like she's straight off one of those nighttime soaps in terms of that whole hair and the outfit and everything. So Montgomery Ward's wasn't bad. You know, you got, like I said, you got those of us on the lower end. That's Whitney Houston. That's Whitney Houston, man. I don't care what anybody says. I had no idea she ever did modeling, but I'm like 99.9999%. That's Whitney Houston right there. Montgomery Ward's 1983. Obviously, he's not going to tell us her name, but check that out. All right, I just got way off track. What is she doing in Montgomery Ward's? We might have skipped past this page. Well, if you're buying your stuff from Montgomery Ward's, I mean, hey, if your woman's giving you some action, where's the shame, right? That's Whitney, I'm telling you. And I'm not trying to be funny. That is Whitney Houston. I never knew she did like teen modeling or whatever. Okay, we discovered something here. That's her too with a crazy hairstyle. They got her looking like an old lady, even though she was probably like 17 or something. Folks, this is what we were wearing in the 80s. And some of this is around the house, so there's no shame if you don't think this is the coolest look in the world. Only your kids are going to see anyway. Some fake fur coats. Pretty pricey though for fake. Yeah, resemble mink. So these are Jordache was a good name brand, but this is some faux fur, which is probably fine. The ladies at the office don't know the difference. They'll be jealous. Check out how cool she is. Got her hair up with her power look. See, she wanted that coat and you got her that NFL 90 and you're wondering why she's mad at you. Look at this, sleeping bag. Like a sleeping bag, man. But I guess if you lived in like Wisconsin or something, that would be, you wouldn't care about how you looked. You'd be trying to stay warm. I do remember the London Fog. I don't know again if Montgomery Ward's will be selling that name brand, but these things were huge in the 80s. I'm still slightly baffled why we just discovered Whitney Houston was a Montgomery Ward model, but it is what it is. R.I.P. one of the greatest singers. Look how cool she looks. And I'm not trying to crack too many jokes on Montgomery Wards, but you know, it was on the lower end, but that's a smart looking outfit right there. She looks cool. She could teach algebra with that outfit on right there. Teach you, you know, A plus B equals C or whatever it was. Check her out. She's going a little risky with that because that could be laughed at or that could be like the coolest outfit in the office. You're flipping a coin when you're wearing that. But hey, you gotta have some courage, right? So you get to be the coolest person. That's kind of a Lady Di look right there. Oh, this is maternity stuff. I'm a guy. I don't know everything there is to know about women's fashion. This looks more like grandma stuff here. The hairstyles weren't bad. The hairspray wasn't too out of control yet. As the 80s went on, the hairspray got way out of control. Check out those mom jeans right there. See, these girls are looking sharp. They're shopping at Montgomery Wards, but they're looking cool, man. Shoes are on point. Got her calculator watch under there. We're having fun, folks. This is a great snapshot. I guess I'm going a little fast. You could pause it and check some of the prices. I'll try to linger on some stuff that I find interesting. Yeah, some women did wear these little tight things in the 80s. And they were, you know, they wouldn't look too bad. I don't think many women dress like that. Maybe somebody trying to be like Joan Collins or something. See, she's got the ruffle thing too. Lace is timeless, in my opinion. Pleats. Pleats were a big thing. Do they have pleats? Do they not? It was a very important question back in the 80s. Now I think you just take whatever they give you. Yeah, I gotta admit, if you're shopping at Montgomery Wards, these aren't bad looking outfits, man. Now it's like, if you can't afford it, you get some fugly stuff. It was like back then, if you couldn't afford it, you could still look pretty sharp. I do love these short haircuts. That's very 80s also, like Belinda Carlisle and people like that. Pat Benatar. You know these names. You better know these names. And these are your, like, women with way too much money. Dressing like, kind of like, almost like preppy boys or something. But they're so rich, nobody's going to say anything to them. Yeah, these were pretty big. Grandma would walk around with this stuff on if you were a child of the 80s. See what I tell you about the pleats? This is back when you would wear slippers in the house. You wouldn't walk around public in your freaking slippers and your Uggs. You'd wear them in the house where they belong. How 80s is that right there? Even if you didn't work out, you'd want to like buy one of those outfits in the 80s, especially when like Flashdance came out and stuff. All right, we got some decent looking shoes here from women. I guess dudes will be last in this catalog. We might see some like tools and some other electronics too, so we'll see what we have left. We're about 2/3 of the way through. If this is getting long, just pause it, come back later, finish it up, man. All right, this was the look for women. I do remember this. Too bad they don't have some women wearing some of this stuff, but yeah, this urban cowboy and then like Dallas, was it a soap opera? Women would walk around looking like this. And it wasn't a bad look, but it was definitely making a statement. Look at these dudes. They're too cool for school, man. And these are actual leather. Man, imagine getting an actual leather jacket for $90. That's not bad. Yeah, cowhide leather. That's pretty legit, man. Somewhat like a members only type. Yeah, there's like the members only. Of course, this would be the Montgomery Ward version. Look at this. I mean, if you're skiing, I guess you need something like that. I went skiing in jeans. That's the kind of guy I am. Yeah, these don't look that dated. Like, these are kind of timeless. Like the London Fog and the members only is like definitely puts you in the 80s. The zip ups. They even make zip up sweaters anymore? Like the sweaters, not the fleeces or whatever that trash is. This guy looking like Lee Horsley over here. Mustache was a thing back then. R.I.P. mustaches. Who does this? There's people out there that do this. Not only his and her, but their kids. They make them all wear the same thing. People do that, man. And I guarantee there's still people that do that. And if it's not obvious in my tone, you're weird if you do that. But people do that and then they like take a family photo. Yeah, these aren't bad looking. I was expecting some pretty fugly stuff because it's Montgomery Wards. And these are practical if it's cold out. Yeah, gloves were a big thing, especially for Christmas. For some reason, it was always a thing to get like the isotoners or the... there's a couple other real popular brands in the 80s. Cords. R.I.P. cords. Bring them back. Bring back the corduroys, folks. Yeah, see, this is botany, but it's not the London Fog, but it's that was the look. I'm telling you, that is Joe Namath. He was probably like almost blind drunk when he took this picture, because that's how he lived. Check out how distinguished this guy is. Yeah, the dress-up stuff, you know, not much has changed. You got your, you know, slacks. You got to wear it to the office or whatever. This was a thing. It's probably still a thing, but the shirt that comes in a box with the tie, that's a bizarre concept to me, but that was definitely a thing back then, and it might still be. Also, these weird corduroy ties were a thing. Some weird stuff, in my opinion. And I lived through this, and I like a lot of these fashions. The Brute. A lot of my kids in 8th grade were probably wearing that, but I had the chaps, so I had a leg up on them. You know, the shaving kits. This is stuff that Dad would get. He'd get a freaking shaving kit. Works his butt off all year, and you buy him that for $9, and you call it good. All right. Got the Robert Redford haircut. These haircuts aren't too out of control 80s. But those jeans with those things are definitely out of control 80s. Especially if you're a dude wearing that. Yeah, that was definitely the look. Oh boy. Montgomery Ward's version of Izod. So if you wear that, the kids at school are going to make fun of you. Because it's not the alligator Izod. So they know it's a knockoff and they're going to clown you, man. You're better off just going with something plain that doesn't have one of those on it. Yeah, the his and her robes. Is that still a thing, everybody? I don't have a her in my life. So those of you that do you do this for Christmas? Is this how you kick it? With the chest hair and everything? Leave a comment. Let me know. Karate Kid looking robes. That's pretty high concept. Yeah, here's some high-end gifts. So you bought Dad the shaving thing for $9. You didn't buy him any of this cool stuff. You didn't spring for this globe right here because it cost $30. Oh, you take your pulse at home. That's super weird. I guess they were doing that even back then. Trying to freak people out. Okay, what is this? Is it just the thing to put your coins in? No, it's got the actual coins in it. Yeah. That's interesting. It's got some silver coins. So 40 bucks, you're probably kind of gambling on what you might get. But of course, they'd be worth something now. But at the time, you probably wouldn't be sure. It's pretty cool, though. Get some coins. Here we go. Some Hummels, some tchotchkes. So Mom wanted one of these, and you got her that darn NFL shirt instead. Yeah, these are kind of fun gifts at the holiday time. But then what do you do with them after holidays, you know? Got all these tchotchkes sitting around the house. You don't want to throw them out, but you should. Just bite the bullet, throw them in the trash. If they ask you, tell them you lost it or something. Nativity scene, that's pretty cool. How much would that be? JK, 35 bucks. Looks like it lights up and everything. Yeah. Yeah, Space Shuttle was big back then, folks. Artificial trees. It's about the same price they cost now. I guess you could dress up as Santa and either make your kid's day or traumatize them for life, depending on how it turns out. So I would say don't do it, just in case you might traumatize them. This is kind of cool. You get all your bows, your ribbons, your little tags, all for 12 bucks. How great is that? This was always a thing. Did anybody do this? We never did this, but this was always a thing. You got your jams, you got your cookies, you got your brittle, you got your weird like little meats and cheeses. This was always a thing. I guess it still is kind of a thing if anybody still goes into department stores, but very few people do. Yeah, look at this. It's got hams, it's got freaking fish, all kinds of weird stuff. But people would buy this and like give it to their relatives and stuff. People probably still do. It's another one of those, I'm giving you permission right now. Throw it in the trash. Somebody gives you that, what was it? The Hummels, the tchotchkes. Just toss it or take it to Goodwill. Don't feel guilty. Because you don't want to clutter your house up with all these freaking little sardines and stuff. Some holiday tablecloths and stuff. That's nice. We're getting kind of fancy at Montgomery Rewards here. Shows what I know. I think they were, you know, almost as good as like JCPenney and stuff. Just for some reason, just a little bit less prestigious as like a Sears. Wow, you could make your own pasta way back then. That is a trip. Because I think of some of this stuff is like something that came very fashionable in the last 10, 15 years. The spice set was big. And you have like 50 spices and you use like 2 of them and the rest of them would sit there. So again, I give you permission to just toss that thing in the garbage, man. Or take it to Goodwill. Yeah, these are probably super cheap compared to what all this stuff costs now. These pots and pans. And probably higher quality. They made stuff to last back then. Yeah, there's another pasta maker. That's interesting. Slice your own bologna. That's kind of scary. Oh, a juicer. This is a trip. Yeah, you know, all joking aside, you might get mom something like this. Like dad would get the shaving kit and you get mom like a nice little blender or whatever. Processor. Waffle makers. Toaster ovens were very useful back then. It's probably before the microwave became so ubiquitous. And here's some fancy tchotchkes. And these are the kind you would sell on eBay instead of taking to Goodwill because they're a little fancier. This was big in the 80s. I don't know why. Nobody ever used them. They'd just be like sitting in the corner. These serving carts. Nobody would ever use them. They just sit in the corner, but everybody had one. Don't ask me how that works. Yeah, some of these are nice. These little candle holders and stuff. But like, what would you do with that? Come on. Toss in the basement. Cut it up and make firewood out of it. I mean, what are you going to do with that? Some more tchotchkes. I mean, some people love tchotchkes, but like 80% of us don't. So like, it's not a good universal gift for everybody. This clown stuff was big for many years, like several decades, I think. Pretty strange. Like, I wouldn't want it out on my wall to look at every day, all day. Pretty scary looking piggy bank there. Oh, these are like doormats. You can get your family name on it and stuff. That's kind of cool. Oh, you can measure your kid. Instead of marking on the wall, you can put this up. That's pretty neat. More tchotchkes. Some of these are expensive too, and it's like, you know, they're just dust collectors, man. I say this as a guy who collects a couple different things, and probably am addicted to collecting some stuff. Grandfather clocks were a thing back in the day. I don't think anybody has grandfather clocks anymore. They're kind of cool. The chimes and stuff, it just kind of goes with your biorhythms, man. You get used to it. I like grandfather. I like corduroys and grandfather clocks. That's the kind of guy I am. I'm not ashamed. Yeah, you get these for like your bar, your basement, or whatever. Oh, they got furniture and everything in here. Got some recliners. So then $2.99. Now you can't even get one of these ottoman for like less than $400. I don't know why that is. It's just a little square clump. And you got to pay like $600 for just the ottoman now. Get your little, whatchamacallit, tree. What's that called? Bonsai. Yeah, this was also a thing, might still be a thing in some of these weird uptight families where you get your family initials. So if your last name is Mitchell, you get M's on your washcloths and stuff. That's always weird and slightly cultish in my brain, but I bet people still do that. Show of hands for the cultish monogram people out there. Check out that couch. Or is this just the thing you put over the couch? I think it is. Yeah, slip covers or whatever. That might be useful if your couch starts looking janky. Just grab a slip cover and you're good for like 5 more years. Might be almost time for me to get a slip cover for my couch. Kids playing some Atari. He's chilling hard in that weird looking seat. Alright, looks like we're almost to the end, but not quite. But this is where you could possibly like write in and order your stuff. And I think you'd have to like, you know, send in your check or your credit card and stuff would show up, you know, a couple weeks later. But like I said, a lot of people might just circle a few things and then go to the store. But if you lived out in a remote area, you might use this and do all your Christmas shopping and be all set. So these catalogs were helpful in many different ways. And I know I've joked around a lot, but these were pretty cool and a neat snapshot of the time. Check out these car stereos, pretty high tech for the time. Definitely high quality sounds coming out of those. Looks like they got Black & Decker. I think Sears had the only Craftsman, like they were the only ones that could sell Craftsman back then. Yeah, and these are more junky junk stuff for your dad. So instead of getting him something nice, you'd get him like this personalized putter or something. Briefcase, that's not a bad price. If anybody priced one of these lately, they're outrageously priced now. Just for a briefcase. Alright, got some outdoor gear. Look, they even had the blow-up mattresses in '83. Yeah, some of these things I was not aware of. Like the pasta maker. Look how big Dukes of Hazzard was. I think we've seen more Dukes of Hazzard stuff than anything. Sporting goods stuff, lunch pails. So before rollerblades came in. It's back when the golf clubs had actual wood, so most current golfers probably couldn't even hit those clubs. Get a pool table for $2,000 from Montgomery Wards. Wow, but they would ship it to your house. Adult bikes, 10 speeds, teenager bikes. Huffy was definitely one of the names. She's doing her Jane Fonda workout. Look at those weight machines back then. That was like your whole gym right there in your home. These are a scam. Don't ever buy these. Yeah, look at that. That one's fancy because it's got the pulleys, because usually you just have the free weights like this kid or whatever. That looks like an extremely dangerous treadmill to me. I bet it would break down after like a year, because that does not look like it's built to last. All right. BB guns. They look pretty authentic, but these are your BB guns. Probably a Red Ryder in here. BB pistols or pellet pistols. See how realistic some of them look? But these are all BBs. Yeah, there's the Red Ryder E. Yep. 83. That movie came out in 83, didn't it? Your bows. Yeah, target practice with bows are pretty fun. You got your regular bows and your compound bows. Compound, you get way more leverage, so don't be a purist. Try a compound if you have to. Are these real rifles here? No. Black powder rifles. Yeah, for some reason that's always been a thing. I think these are all like the black powder type stuff. Yeah, black powder shotgun, 50 caliber. Man, that would be pretty hardcore. That would put a huge hole in something. Never understood the knife thing, and unless you work in a outdoors where you need to cut stuff. I never understood carrying a knife around, but that's just me. Okay, we got a microwave. 279 is not bad for that 1983 for a microwave. Yeah, this is more what I remember, like $600 for a microwave back then. But probably like now, it's probably a bigger one. Some of these are probably small. Dorm fridge. About the same price as it still is. You might ask, why could you buy something in 83 for the same price as you buy it now? It's because back then we made stuff in America, and then when you outsource it, you basically beat inflation that way, So you outsource it somewhere, and you can still import it for $200 or whatever. And that's how you deindustrialize an entire country. Got your vacuum, but we don't need this because we got our kids. Remember earlier we bought our kids some vacuums, and now they got to clean the house. How great are these Polaroid cameras? And I had one very similar to this in high school. I took some high school yearbook pictures with a camera just like that, or very similar. And then of course we had the Polaroid. Great memories right there, and higher quality than what you get now. 35 millimeter or whatever. Yeah, they had these weird micro cameras. A lot of people had those. I think we had something like that at one point. But I loved my high school photography stuff. Learned how to develop pictures and all kinds of stuff. All right, 83, we got the keyboards, and one of those looks like the Casio. I'm gonna have to linger here for just a moment. Again, if this video is getting too long, just pause it, come back later. We're here, we're having fun. Casio P20. I don't know if that was the model, but I definitely had the Casio. It had like 3 or 4 beats, and it had a few little songs, had like green sleeves. Love that keyboard. Wish I had pursued music more as a kid. I never put into practice, and really it's just all about putting into practice. But then again, you don't want it to be a chore. But yeah, I love the Casio. $50. Let's see how much this one was. Yeah, $69. That's about what I remember. Yeah, in like 85 or so, everybody that was cool had the Casio keyboard. CB stuff, walkie-talkie stuff. Sit in your basement, listen to your police channel or whatever. Boom boxes, there you go. This is before the compact disc, so you can see you got your tape players and your record players, and that was about it. But okay, I misspoke. The Walkman is out. Here it is. 90 bucks. Iconic. Incredible game changer. Before that, if you wanted to listen to tapes, you'd have to lug something like this around or something like that. And the Walkman with the little headphones was like a groundbreaking thing. And it looks like GE and Panasonic have jumped on board, and theirs are a little cheaper, but everybody wanted the Sony. Everybody had to have the Sony. If your mom didn't get you the Sony, you were mad. Yeah, a lot of us had these all-in-one stereos, which, hey, it's better than what we have now, so respect if you had the all-in-one. I had the individual components because I was a real music fan. And man, do they even make speakers like this anymore? If they do, they probably cost like $2,000 each or something. This is a snapshot of the 80s. We all had the radio clock, similar to one of these. Guess now everybody just uses their phone or something. Check out these 1980s phones. $150. I hope that's like a cordless or something, because who's paying that much for a phone? Yeah, you'd write down who called there on your little chalkboard or corkboard or whatever. And the Darth Vader one's pretty cool. How much is that? 80 bucks. It tells us he's the villain of Star Wars. Man, we would have never known if they hadn't told us, huh? We would have never known that he's the villain of Star Wars. I'm just trying to be, yeah, curved phone's great. I do remember these with the giant numbers on the pads there. Answering machines. Look, they got the dual deck answering machine. I wonder how much that one is. $260 for an answer machine. Wow. Wow. Wowzers. No, check out these TVs. Believe it or not, folks, some people had these TVs like this. They were like these giant pieces of furniture, which is kind of nice. You could set stuff on top, I guess. But man, they took up some space. We just had the basic, yeah, maybe we'll see some. We had the basic TVs, but these are like the fancy ones that grandma might have or something. Yeah, we didn't have these. We had the ones with the knobs, like something like this. Definitely didn't have a remote until like the 90s. And you can see, we could probably look at the name brands and see there weren't that many names. There's like GE, there was Sony, there were a few name brands that were reliable and what you would get. RCA, you know. Yeah, I had something like this, little 13-inch black and white. This one's color. In fact, I had one more like this. You can see how cheap they were. But hey, I was a kid. That's all I needed, man. Betamax, check that out. This one's got that weird remote that like hooks to the thing or something. Let's see how much this Beta is. $550. Man, that's wild. Yeah, we had a Betamax a few years later when they were probably a little more cheap, or maybe it was secondhand or something. And then here's, you can keep your video games. Some replacement little connectors, so when your kids wore your stuff out or your cats chewed through it. ColecoVision. A friend of mine had ColecoVision. We had Atari. You can see the Coleco is a little nicer. Atom computer. Never had that, but I knew a guy that had one of these. Had the weird remote control things. But the game quality was a little better. He had like a baseball game for it. Yeah, we had the Atari. What is this? Okay, this is the 2600, this is 5200. We had the basic 2600, but it was revolutionary at the time. Playing asteroids, playing Miss Pac-Man. Just the basic joysticks that came with it. I don't even think these came with it. You had to buy them extra. But that's all you needed, man. Defend, or what was it? War, the game that was like War. I can't remember what it was called. It was like you would just shoot at each other. Missile Command. We had that one. They got a great selection here. I can't read through all of them because it would take forever, but they got a great selection of probably every video game you remember from the 80s, early 80s. Dig Dug, E.T., before they got put in the landfill, I guess. Berserk, that's the one I was trying to think of. I love that game. If you stood just right in Berserk, the bullet would go right through your neck and not touch you, but you had to be right at the right spot. Yeah, some more video game stuff. Great stuff. Yeah, these came in the style because people started getting computers and video games and word processors, so then they started selling these kind of desks. I had one similar to that, I think, later in high school. Look at that. Little rich kids would have one of those. Yeah, I think these are the like Atari computer type things. I don't know much about those, I'm afraid. Look at these printers. 4-color plotter. Man, if it was color, that was pretty fancy, because back then you had like the green bar and stuff. These are disk drives. Floppy disks. Just the disk drive alone was $400. That's why I never had one. Alright, we're just about done, but this has been pretty cool. Montgomery Ward's 1983. Thanks for going through this with me, folks. See you around.